afternoon, folks. Today on the show, we have Susan Shaw, a friend of mine and community leader, I would say. She currently works as a project administration for Mayor Hutto, but she's had a fascinating life before now and before here in Lebanon. Susan, how are you today?
I'm fine, Rick. Doing really well. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I made a few notes before I started, and you were born in Chicago, which surprised me. I'm not sure why.
You can't tell from my accent?
I cannot. I cannot. I thought you're from the East Coast for some reason. Did you live in the East Coast at some point?
I did. Yeah. I lived in Philadelphia for a while. I went from Chicago to Tennessee, went to school there. Then eventually moved to Atlanta and then Philadelphia. So probably my accent is melded from all those different
Yes,
places.
mixed somewhat. Yeah. Well, I did look you up, and it says here that you worked as a insurance, I'm not sure what person, and you trotted the globe. You were paid to travel. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, it's good when you have a job like that. Yeah, I worked in the that was my career in the insurance industry, and I worked on what they call the company side. So I started with Safeco and worked for Travelers and AIG for many years before going to ACE, which then eventually became Chubb. So with throughout all that, I started in underwriting and moved into management, and then went into training and went into operations. And when I ended my career in 2015, I was vice president of global operations, compliance, and risk management for ACE.
Wow.
It was a great career, and I really did get to do some fascinating travel with it and meet a lot of great people. It was neat.
What was your favorite country, or what is your favorite country? Even if you didn't go there for work, where's your favorite place?
Um, I have to say, I really do like France a lot, and visited Paris several times because I really did like the cities. That was years ago when I was in Philadelphia. I did most of that travel. And I really never thought I would go to Asia. It wasn't on my list. I thought Europe was really where I was interested in seeing, Italy and France and different countries. And then ended up getting moved to South Korea for work, and I got to travel all around Asia, and I really loved it. And I would say probably in Asia, my two favorite places were Bangkok, Thailand, and Singapore.
Wow. I'm just, I'm just blown away. I didn't know this about you. I've known you for years. I did not know that. I didn't know anything about that. That's crazy.
Wow. Well, yeah. Well, thanks for asking. It's nice to talk to friends and learn more.
Yes, and that is certainly an advantage for the podcast that I get to talk to people I know and find out more about them, and it deepens our relationships. And I really, really like that a lot because everybody's got a story, and I'm finding out stories that I didn't know existed, like this one, is amazing. We've only been to Don and I've only been to China and Japan, and we actually really love Japan and thought that China was interesting. I know I'd want to live there, but definitely Japan. Did you go to either one of those places while you were there?
I went to Japan. I visited Tokyo. Yeah, and I did like Tokyo, and the people were really nice. I would say what I really liked about Thailand. Well, I love the food. I love the exotic nature of Thailand, but the people, they were very sort of soft spoken and gentle and kind. And I picked up a few words of Thai, just enough that I could kind of greet them and say hello, goodbye, and thank you. And I really loved Korea, and I met a lot of great people in Korea, both expats and some Koreans that I became very good friends with. But overall in Korea, their nature is more gruff and kind of, louder and more gruff. And the culture is different there in so many ways. But I loved Thailand and the people of Thailand. I just really loved their kind of gentle nature.
Like you. Yeah, gentle nature. Yeah, that would fit completely. Wow. So I know you visited France recently, and can you tell me about that adventure?
Yes, actually, it was wonderful, and I haven't been to France for many years. And like I said, I like France. I've been there several times and really like it. But this opportunity came up. I When I retired from the insurance industry in 2015, I wanted to explore my creative side. I'd always been in the corporate world, and I loved it, and that's what I wanted to do. But I never had the time to explore the more creative side, and I knew it was there. I thought it was there. So I took watercolor lessons, and my first instructor is then called earlier this year and said, I'm organizing a trip to a chateau in France. It's in the Loire Valley, and it's going to be a painting workshop. And it was limited. There were 6 students and the instructor and a facilitator that kind of pulled it all together. So it was in the Loire Valley, and it was in a chateau that is over 100 years old. And we stayed there. We stayed in the chateau. We were the only occupants. Our whole workshop was in the chateau. And it was really cool. It was really neat. So let alone painting and being with my favorite instructor and meeting great new people, it was just a wonderful experience. So I recommend it highly to anybody that can do that.
You're in the Loire Valley, so you had access to good wine then, obviously. You probably partook in that a bit, I would guess.
Yeah, yes, and actually, the chateau where we stayed, it was a large chateau, like 300 acres. I mean, not large in terms of the size of the building. It was kind of a normal size chateau, but 300 acres, and they grow grapes for wine. And then they sell them to a winery that actually does all the pressing and bottling and, puts the wines together. So we went and visited that winery and, of course, tasted their wines that they had, which were just really, really nice. I like the wines from that region.
Become a favorite now. You're probably searching those in the aisle at the liquor store.
Yeah, I can't help myself. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about the your creative side. I've seen your watercolors, right? Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Watercolors.
Yeah.
But I thought
Yeah.
they were beautiful. The ones in
Well,
your
thank you. And
yeah.
that actually is a big surprise to me. When I was younger, I always liked art, and my sister and I took oil painting classes on Saturdays, and I took a jewelry class in high school, and I really thought, maybe something in that direction, but that wasn't really where I wanted to head for a career. And so when I retired, and my aunt had taken some classes at a school in South Carolina at the John C. Campbell Folk School. And she said, how about taking a watercolor class with me? And I said, oh, no, I don't think so. That's too hard. I don't really think that would be good. But then I thought about it, and I said, you know what? My dad, who was in the insurance, he was an agent, a life insurance agent in the insurance business, but he painted watercolors. And there were 4 framed paintings in our house where I grew up. And when I thought about that, I realized I didn't know a thing about that. I knew that those paintings were his, and they were on the walls, but I never talked to him about it. I don't know how he learned to do it. When did he do it? Did he do it when he was married? Did he do it before they had kids? Did he just do it on his own, or did he have instruction? And it kind of fascinated me. And I thought, well, you know what? I need to try it and see what it was like for him. And lo and behold, I just loved it. So I've kept it up as a hobby, and just kind of hope to continue that. I'm not any great artist like with loads of paintings, but I like to paint. So,
I think you're underselling your skill sets here. I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen already of that. Fascinating that your dad was interested in that, and it hung on your walls, and now you follow that path. I assume he's passed. He's not with you to ask.
he did, yeah, in 2010. And I want to go back to Chicago for just a minute, if you don't mind, because
Oh, sure.
that reminds me.
We're on your trip. This is
My trip. Well, let's go on this trip to Chicago.
all right. Let's go to Chicago.
So early, because really, so many things that happen in your life are probably founded in your childhood. And growing up in Chicago was fantastic. I like to tell people that, we were, a middle-class family, and probably lower middle class to start out with, if that. But when my parents got married, they put everything they had into buying a house. It was a bungalow in Berwyn, which is a very near suburb of Chicago. And they lived there until my dad died. So they were there for, I don't know, 55 years or something like that. But when they bought the house and they put everything they had into it, they had no other furniture, but the neighbor down the street had a baby grand piano that he wanted to get rid of. And he said, Art, if you can move it, you can have it. And my dad played the piano. So the first furniture in the house was this beautiful baby grand piano.
Oh.
And then we all learned to play piano. So
they could sleep under it if they
yeah, I mean, it didn't matter. At least we had music. We had a roof over our head, and my mom was a great cook. And growing up in Chicago was fun. They took us to the museums. The Art Institute. We went there probably every year to see what was going on at the Art Institute and museums and stuff.
Field Museum there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wrigley Field.
Oh yeah, Wrigley Field. I'm a Cubs fan. Still a Cubs fan.
No way. No way.
Absolutely.
How are they doing this year? My dad's passed, but my mom follows them. I don't know much about how they're doing. Are they doing okay this year?
Well, probably not. They usually don't, but
yes, that is.
You win the World Series, so
yeah, that was a big deal there.
And, awesome. Yeah, and I'm a fan no matter what, no matter how they're doing.
Well, most Cub fans are. They're in for the long haul. The Cubbies, you gotta love them.
That's right.
So I want to hop back here to South Korea. So and actually this probably goes to all the other countries you visited. Is there a substantial American expat community there? Because you mentioned expats, and I assume you met Americans.
Well, I didn't mean Americans, and that's a great question because no, there's not a substantial American expat community there. But ACE was a company that had a large presence in Asia and had a pretty good sized office in South Korea. And interestingly, we were first asked to go to Thailand to that office. And my husband was the one that was posted over there, my ex-husband now, but he was going to be posted as a branch manager. So we said, I probably was the one that said, I have never been to Thailand or Asia, and I need to see this before we say, okay, to moving over there, even though it sounded like a great opportunity, but what is Asia like? So they sent us to Bangkok to, look at everything and look at homes and things like that, look at the areas. We came back and said, yes, we would do it. And then they said, oh no, we changed our mind. We really need you in South Korea. Mm. So we ended up we actually took a trip to see South Korea because that was even more scary to me. I said, no, I don't want to go to South Korea because they're still at war with North Korea because, the treaty had never been signed. And the CEO of the company that we both worked for called me in and he said, Susan, South Korea is not going to war with North Korea. And I asked him a bunch of questions and he answered. We went to see it. And ultimately, when we went to see South Korea, it was in April. And I came back and said, this looks just like Tennessee. They have dogwoods blooming and forsythia and azaleas, which was really nice because it was, that was familiar. Huge city. Seoul had 19 million people. Which was, a little frightening, definitely a different culture, but we said, we'll go and give it a try. But to answer your question about expats, I'm getting off track on that. Most of the expats that I met and became good friends with were from South Africa, the Netherlands, India, those were some of my best friends from those countries. London, I visited some, when I came back, I visited a friend that had returned to London and visited her several times over there. So really, there were a lot of expats from India and from Great Britain and some from South Africa and, different countries, not very many Americans.
Why would you choose South Korea to be an expatriate?
You wouldn't choose it when it's offered.
Why were they there? They were all there because of business too. I mean, now Bangkok, that's got a huge American expat community, but why would you? So you're saying these people were forced to be in South Korea?
No, and I mean, not forced at all. It's because there were so many business opportunities. South Korea was booming, and really the banking and insurance industries were big industries there. So a lot of people were in that. The South African people that I met were from the embassy. They were it was the ambassador from South Africa. I might have said South Korea, from South Africa. Um, the ambassador's wife became my best friend. We met when we were staying in apartments. We had just both gotten there and were in apartments while we were looking for places to live. And she became my best friend, and we just had the best experiences over there together. We laughed so much of the time because nobody could understand either one of us. And so we learned to communicate with gestures and, sounds. And I took South Korean, a language course when I first got there. It was a 6-week course, but I only lasted 3 weeks because I learned quite a bit, but then they were just speaking South Korean in class, and it just overwhelmed me. I couldn't think and speak in South Korean, but it did help. But yeah, we really conversed with gestures and sounds and looks on our faces.
Of course, that's what you do. You plant a glass and there. Hey, so have you been able to stay in touch with your friend, your South African friend? Have you talked to her since, or were you able to keep that relationship alive?
I haven't. We have sort of lost touch, and I've tried a few times, and I'm not sure where the connection was lost, but I know that they moved to different countries, pretty frequently as ambassador, being posted to different countries. So I've kind of lost track of them, and I'm sorry about that, and hopefully maybe one day we'll get to reconnect.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time, and pretty much saved your brains. Made it tolerable to be there.
Yes, absolutely. And there were so many things that I learned to love, and I liked the Korean food. Now, a lot of people didn't like Korean food that were from other countries. There's there's a lot of garlic in it, and of course, kimchi is kind of everything. Yeah. But I loved it, and I happen to love like a table full of small dishes of food with all different kinds of dishes. I love that, so that worked out very well for me. Yep.
Yeah, in America, we tend to look at just a large platter of food, and that's what you eat. You eat chicken with maybe some on the side, but Hispanic cultures, they have little bites of this, little bites of that. And when we go out to eat, sometimes we'll just order appetizers because you get so many flavors, and
Yeah.
I think we kind of miss that in America, that you can have a lot of little things and not just one. Not just the turkey for Thanksgiving kind of a thing.
Yeah, there's so much availability here, which is nice. And I'll tell you what, when you live in another country, it's a great experience, and I would never pass up that kind of an opportunity. It's really great. But you appreciate the U.S. You appreciate when you come back here, and the things that you have available to you here, and the scale of things. So it's good both ways, I would say.
Well, it's the things that we take for granted. I mean, just honestly, I got up the other night and I was stumbling out of bed, and I turned on the faucet, and cold, clear water came out, and I thought, man, you're just so blessed just to have clean water at your fingertips all the time. And
so true.
So many people just don't, and I don't know why it struck me in the middle of the night, but it's true, that, and just we have so much here to offer us, and that we take for granted. And Don and I travel quite a bit, and we always love to go there, and we always love to come back. You land here, and it's like, yeah,
I agree. Yep. There's a lot to appreciate. But you don't want to miss those experiences. I love learning about other cultures and meeting other people and eating other food, and I love all of that. And probably like you, it's always a good opportunity to learn a few words in another language too.
Always.
You always try to learn how to say hello, goodbye, thank you, and how much is that?
And where's the bathroom?
Yeah, where's the bathroom? That's right.
And we had some bathroom adventures in China that were amazing.
You could have a whole podcast on that subject, but
yes, we could absolutely have a podcast, a total podcast about that alone. Well, Susan, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our program. This has been so fun and so exciting. Maybe you can come back later. We'd have more to talk about. I'm sure that your experiences in these countries are fascinating. I'd like to hear how many countries you've been to. What was your best experience? Blah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack on all that. But
We need to compare notes on that. That would be a fun conversation between the two of us. So I would look forward to it, obviously.
oh, comparing notes, yeah. Oh, yeah, super fun. Um, yeah, like Russia. I went to Russia at one point, and it used to be the center of evil for the entire planet. And I was in Moscow at the Red Square, and the people were just really nice. They're just like us. They just want to, feed their family, have a comfortable lifestyle, have some, some laughs and giggles, and just be people. And we lose sight of that sometimes. And every place that we've ever gone, we've never had any animosity towards us if you do the few things like learn a few words, learn to say hello, learn to say thank you. And that goes a lot. Even you think that's small, but it's really big. Sorry about that. It's really a big thing for them and for us too. And it will take you farther than you can imagine. I'm sure you've seen that as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's so true. Yep.
Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want, you can tell your friends about us. You can go to any of the social media platforms and just type in the deep dive with Rick Wittrig, and you'll be taken right there. So have a great day, and always bubbles up.